Hey there guys, it's your Pyro enthusiast BonOakley. Yes, I finally got a new catchphrase, and I want to talk about a weapon that is pretty mediocre, but at the same time has quite a lot of potential to be a good combo weapon. That weapon, of course, is the gas passer. As you may know, the gas passer is a throwable canister that soaks the enemies in gas. When hit by any type of damage, whether it be bullets, melee, fire, or literally anything else that damages you, you will be set aflame for a solid 10 seconds. Somehow jumping with a rocket and sticky jumper counts as taking damage too, so even that will ignite enemies for some reason. The main drawback of this, however, is that it takes a whole 60 seconds to charge up. That's right, you have to wait a full minute in order to use this just once. However, you can speed it up somewhat by damaging enemies, which is fine, but taking a whole minute to charge is still a pretty silly thing in all honesty. However, a cool thing that the gas passer can do is be used as an area denial tool. You see, when thrown, the gas lingers around for a little while. This means that if anyone walks through the gas, they will also be soaked in it. As for the area denial part, well, the lingering gas can stop enemies from passing through certain areas of the map. This is especially effective for choke areas in places like Two Fort, Turbine, Dust Bowl, and many more maps. So overall, the gas passer has a cool use for stopping enemy advancements for a short while, but the rest of its uses are pretty bad to mediocre at best. This is because the 10 seconds of afterburn that it provides is not that great of a utility, as flares, being the best alternative, set an enemy aflame for a good 7.5 seconds, which is a pretty solid amount of time still. That, and it actually deals damage on its initial hit, making it much more effective than the gas passer. But I want to talk about a use that has a lot of potential if added, and wouldn't be too game breaking in my opinion. But before that, would you believe that when an enemy is soaked in the gas, they aren't considered wet? Weird, right? The Mad Milk and Girardi are similar items being throwables with a certain use, the milk being used to gain health and Girardi for extra damage through mini crits. Yet they also put the player into the wet state, just like if they'd stepped into a body of water. In comes the Neon Annihilator, a weird mishmash of ideas put together into one weapon. It deals crits on wet players, but at the same time is a somewhat worse home wrecker, taking 2 hits to remove a sapper rather than 1. Its other stats are minimal, being no random crits and minus 20% damage against players, again like the home wrecker, but that has a minus 25 penalty instead, so in that regard the Neon is the better weapon towards enemies rather than buildings like the home wrecker. The Neon is in a weird place, as in it basically has little use in terms of hitting wet players, and also the fact that the home wrecker can do its secondary use much better. But what does this all have to do with the topic of the video? Well, what if the gas passer made the enemies go into that wet state? We'd essentially have the Girardi Bushwhacker equivalent for the Pyro. You see, the majority of the official maps do not have water, meaning the Neon Annihilator essentially has little use, if not no use, in most game modes in their respective map pools. With the use of the gas passer's wetting ability, it would give Pyros a chance to use it anywhere they want. Not only would this boost the usefulness of the gas passer with it being able to ignite enemies and a great area denial tool, but it also make the Neon Annihilator have much more effectiveness than ever before. I dare say it would even rival the Extinguisher in terms of damage output. Now before you say this would be overpowered, I'd like to clarify a couple of key points. Of course, a decently long charge time would still need to be on the gas passer. 60 seconds is much too long, however reducing it to maybe 40 seconds will make it slightly better in terms of using it much more frequently on the enemy team. They would also need to possibly nerf the amount of charge you get from dealing damage too as well, since you don't want a throwable to be too spammable. It already takes 750 damage to fill up completely, so maybe the charge rate is good enough as it is. This is also due to the fact that if you manage to hit someone with a crit with the Neon Annihilator, it would do a solid 156 damage straight away, charging a fifth of the meter instantly. And if it is used wisely on a crowd of people, a Pyro could essentially charge that meter instantly, with a couple of hits making it a great combo weapon like I stated before. As for the ignition and afterburn properties of the gas passer, you may want to nerf the afterburn duration. I'd say 5 seconds would be sufficient enough. Why? Well, the initial 156 damage plus 4 damage per second for 5 seconds from afterburn would make for a total of 176 damage. This is easily enough to take out 7 of the 9 classes. But again, equipping the gas passer for this use would be risky too, as a Pyro would essentially be giving up a reliable secondary weapon like the flare gun and shotgun to deal some quick crit damage if the Pyro was lucky enough. So overall, I do believe the gas passer has plenty of potential, it just needs to add the wet condition like the Girardi and Mad Milk. This would not just make the gas passer more viable, it would make the Neon Annihilator a more consistently good weapon that doesn't get neglected on most maps in the game. You could argue that you could do all of this with the Gerati and Mad Milk in conjunction with the Neon Annihilator, but there's never anyone willing to work with you, and there isn't a lot of moments where you'd be able to rush an enemy that's covered in milk or piss. If the gas passer did have the wet condition added, it would allow for a more reliable source and would be an excuse to use the Neon Annihilator more. Basically, this video is my plea to Valve saying, give me an excuse to use the Neon Annihilator, and also just to make the gas passer more useful please. Seriously, afterburn for 10 seconds, is that it? Anyway, what do you all think? Would there be anything you'd change, or would you change the Neon Annihilator? Personally, I think these two could be great together, and the unison between them would make a great change from just extinguisher crits. So, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment and leave a like down below, and as always, this has been your Pyro enthusiast BonOakley, and I will see you in the next one.